Oh, I'm very happy we get to squeeze this in right before the holidays. I think what is today, the 22nd? We're almost there. We squeeze it in. Our guest today is about to leave for some way warmer place than where he lives. I forget where you're going. Mexico?
Yeah.
All right, I remembered. There we go.
Yeah.
So he's about to head out of town. We wanted to get this in there and get it released before Christmas, but got all your shopping done?
For me, no. I
Yeah.
haven't barely even started.
Yeah, it's pretty much done, but like my family's pretty chill. We don't really do that.
I'm just about done.
A lot of gift cards this year.
Yeah.
It's an easy go-to. It's a good go-to.
Everybody loves it.
But this is one, you can see, we're watching Rhythm X 2010. Evan and I realized a little while ago, we've never watched this for some reason. It's one of like the most iconic Rhythm X shows. Evan was in it his first year in Rhythm X. So was Chris, which is obviously why we love Chris, but we have him on here because, backstory, they have background on random stuff that happened during the season and all that crap. But I'm looking forward to it. But before we jump in, this is Aged Out Reacts. We're the two hosts of the Aged Out podcast, Michael Fantini and
Evan Worrell.
And you all know the drill if you're a returning viewer, and if you're new, comment, like, subscribe, share the video with anyone that you think would appreciate and like, or hate, honestly. Hate comment if you want. Our opinions on Rhythm X 2010. Facebook, Instagram, patreon.com, or the join button right here on YouTube if you want to support us financially at all. Head to agedoutpodcast.com if you want to grab a shirt or stickers. We launched a few new stickers and shirts recently. Go check that out. Link to all that in the description. And we are in the middle of indoor season, getting ready for shows, and drum corps auditions are still in the thick of things. Use the Aged Out Fundamentals playlist. I'm telling you all, 15 minutes a day, pick one. Your hands will thank you. Your audition season will go way better. All right. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first thing we're watching here is a video taken by the great Jared Thomas. Was this like the full ensemble rep of like first full ensemble rep of the opener?
Probably.
Yeah, it's probably like a December camp, probably.
I'm sure it was really early because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we play in this rep that did not make it.
Yeah. Well,
very far.
Once we listen to it, you'll hear why it didn't make it, because it was this is probably one of the hardest charts I've ever seen an indoor group try. I don't know.
It's fast. With a lot of notes. We were
238. 238 was the tempo. So
yeah. So let's watch this. We'll see where it all started, and then we're gonna watch a run at the end of the season to see where it ended up.
You scared?
I still love the James.
Stan looks so young.
Dude, yeah.
All of you do. All right. What tempo is that? Just for the record.
238.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Was there
whether
ever...
or not we actually played at 238 that often?
I don't think we ever played it that often. That was one of those classic where they would like tap off things and then like immediately like 2 counts in, we all just settled.
Yeah. I was getting ready to ask, was there ever a run without the Met on where it ever maintained that tempo?
Probably not.
I just remember when we would rehearse with the Met, we all just had to look at each other and like, oh God, here it goes. And then whenever the Met was off, we would like play a little bit closer to clean.
Almost. We'd get there. All right.
I'd be scared.
Note all the zone changes too. We'll talk about that.
I'm so terrified right now.
I would have been terrified.
Jared, it's clean down here.
So fast.
Just sticks all over the drum head right now.
what are
many
playing
zone
sounds?
changes?
Oh, sorry, what was that vocal?
Here we go. I forgot they didn't have any shaping at first. Oh.
Yeah, at first you're just all up.
He just breaks and starts waving his hands.
Look at Dan's arms.
Just hanging off for dear life. Oh my gosh. So yeah, once we started setting a drill, we very quickly realized that we could not keep all these zone changes. Well, first of all, everything was just happening so fast that it didn't read.
I mean, we got the sheet music from Tim Jackson, and it said, you know, instead of just like center, halfway, front edge, and gut edge, he wanted there to be an edge for every number on a clock. So from 1 through 12, he would assign an edge or halfway to that number and then center. So in theory, we had like 25 playing zones on a snare drum head. And then, he would write stuff where one hand stayed in one edge and the other hand was doing like a circle around.
Yeah.
And it was at 238. Good
Yeah,
luck.
I remember I called Josh. I was like, dude, what is it had like 10 arrow 6. It's like, what does that mean? He's like, it means he wants you to start at 10 o'clock and move around to 6 o'clock. I was like, what?
That's one of those things where you hear it and go, you would have thought he would have asked himself at some point, is this worth it? Is anyone ever going to pick up on half of this with how fast this is? And like,
we did keep a lot of like the jumps, like when we do like herita, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like we didn't really keep the like individual ones.
Especially from far away while on the floor marching drill, it just didn't really come across.
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So-
Makes sense.
It was
So, I
short
mean,
lived.
I understand Tim was, being ambitious. They had won in 08, 09, and
Mm-hmm.
they thought they were invisible, which, as we see, we were close.
We were close.
Almost. I think you both
Is
have
this
your
a good
medals
time
with
to
you.
hold up my medal?
Yeah, I was going to say, you
Yeah.
both got your medals out for this on purpose.
It's silver. For those of you who don't know.
One of many silver medals Rhythm X has won, and we did look this up beforehand. We thought X had the most silver medals of any WGI World Independent group. They're one off of RCC,
Yeah.
which surprised us all. We thought they would have had the most, but
They've had a lot of second place finishes.
quite a few. I think you said RCC was 8 and X is
Yeah.
7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close. All right, this is a minute, so we're going to watch that again, and then we'll watch the run.
Those 7-stroke rolls got completely axed.
I was going to say, in the first watch, that was really fast, those rolls,
And surprisingly good for December.
right? Yeah.
That's 3 of them.
It's so fast to move in and out of those singles and double strokes and paradiddles all continuously.
A lot of some of this middle stuff got changed too, just where we were staged.
Yeah.
Like, I
This is
think this
before
part
any
got
of us
changed.
came. Yeah, some of us would have like exits and entrances musically earlier on.
Yeah.
This chunk was so hard.
So fast. Those singles are so fast.
The ending got extended.
Like how there's duple rolls at the front edge at one point. Right there.
Yeah, we ended up adding like
Yeah, yeah.
we added a little bit to it. But I remember too, like trying to learn the drill and like this
It was a
opening
science
thing.
project.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe
the
that.
opening thing was all just like fade ins and fade outs, and like the step offs were all in halftime, but you might step off on 1 3 1 3. You might step on and be 1 2 4 2 4. So you're
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh.
I remember learning some footfalls with Tim Wood in the snare line, and his first year of marching indoor was Rhythm X 2010.
Good
Like
lord.
that's the only year of any indoor drum line, no high school, no other independent groups. So like the idea of like marching to like a dotted eighth note or whatever kind of footfall was like so foreign to him. And he had to stay up one night and just like mark the music with where his feet were supposed to go. And we're all like sleeping. He just had, but obviously figured it out because
Yeah.
he's a badass, but still it's crazy.
It's wild to think about back then. Like, yeah, the weird metered feet timing really wasn't a thing probably in drum corps most of the time back 15 years ago, 12 years ago.
Oh, in drum corps for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all halftime or quarter notes.
Right.
I mean,
All
this
right.
was probably only like the first 5 years of like a lot of that happening in WGI as well,
Yeah,
Right.
probably true.
and a lot of like excessive choreography and all that kind of stuff.
So now let's watch the Centerville preview show, which no longer hasn't existed for a long time now.
Yeah,
was
Evan,
the-
you got to give a history lesson on
Yeah.
the Centerville preview show.
Yeah, it was something Rhythm X had done for a while, just as almost like a precursor. Groups would come and get a run through in before semifinals, because I don't think at that time they did 3 nights. It was just Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, it was just
So-
2 shows. That's right.
Yep.
On
just two.
Thursday, they would do the Centerville preview show and allow groups who were in town to like, hey, you can come get a run through in, make sure you know your gear's working, you're getting off the floor on the floor. But this
Yeah, no
last year,
judges, right?
no judges. Nope. It was just
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a fundraiser for the X. I think it was just free. Honestly, I think
Yeah,
it's free.
I mean, yeah, someone can come correct us in the comments, but I think it started out free, and maybe 1 or 2 years they started charging like a suggested like $5 or $10
Yeah, but
just
it's
for like
obviously
Centerville's band program. Yeah.
it's obviously packed, like the front and the back, the sides. This last year, I remember I went back and looked it up because I still have a list. It was Petal High School, Plymouth Canton High School, Choctawhatchee, Arcadia, Centerville, Chino Hills, Los Alamitos, and Ayala High School. And then the independent groups were Evolution, Eastside Fury, United Percussion, Imachi, Pulse, and Rhythm X. So I was like, and WJ was like, y'all got to stop doing this. Pretty
People
much.
aren't going to come to finals.
At least that's the way I understand it. They were like, you can't have this like free show and nobody's going to come buy WGI tickets. Like, well,
I don't think that's true. I think that was an overreaction by them. Like,
but
yeah, there are
It
some good
definitely
groups.
definitely blew up. There was just like full crowds in the lot there. I mean, it was just like a
I'm
massive...
almost positive that there were like sponsors in the lot filming at that show, like Evans
I mean,
Drumheads.
if it's an opportunity to get a good lot video with less people around, maybe, like, why wouldn't you?
So
better angles,
yeah,
makes sense to me. But I don't know why.
And with
WGI
Dayton
would have
weather,
such a-
you never know.
That's true too.
In Dayton, you
Yeah.
could go like warm
it was
versus cold
great.
next night.
You know, we're starting 4 minutes in because we did like the whole Party in the USA intro. I remember
Pulse did
they did the
Lion
Banished
King.
Beyond Lion King lit.
Yeah.
And they had like a stuffed Simba.
There has to be a video of that somewhere.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. The vibes were immaculate at that time in terms of like there was competitiveness, but it was not like we weren't mad at each other or anything. We were just hyped that they were doing something goofy like we were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
I want to find.
I remember Aaron. I think Aaron forgot his uniform, and somebody had to like.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That's
where he left it,
why
but he was like freaking
Bobby
out.
Trick in the front ensemble doesn't have a uniform for finals because Aaron Barrientos in the snare line just straight up lost his uniform finals week.
Wait,
That's
the finals run of Rhythm X 2010. There's a pit member not wearing the uniform.
Yeah, he's got like a black spandex shirt because he had to give his like orange sash to Bando to Aaron Barrientos in the snare line.
Oh my god!
Simply because there was no extra uniforms made.
Yeah, and it was like, it was literally the night before prelim, so it's just like, well, all right.
I'm looking up the
home
Pulse 2010 Centerville preview show.
There were some
see the Lion King.
There were some other funny, like just wild things that happened over the course of the year.
There you go.
I mean,
right there, pre-show warm up.
Yeah,
Lion King warm up. Yeah, the second video.
dude, they actually played it really well too.
All right, we're watching this before we watch Rhythm X because this is just for fun. All right.
They had the choreography.
Pulse 2010 interlude. Here we go.
They were so clean this year.
They were. I'll only move our faces. Hold on, I gotta move our faces up. People can see them.
The snare line was stacked too, by the way.
I also
all those
love that
guys.
they took time to just like choreograph this out. Like, all right, whatever. Like, here we go.
Yeah,
We're
they
cleaning
probably had
up.
the show done and like they finished their show design in like October that year. It's a throwback.
Sounds pretty good.
I'm telling you, they were nails. Snare line was solid.
Manny, Nate.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this Lion King lick.
The guy with the stuffed animal.
Oh, amazing. The dude stands up and points. Perfect.
Dude, the cymbals are just
think-
like.
Evan, I think we were in the crowd for this too. I think we hadn't performed yet.
Yeah.
And we just like finished our warm up, like, hey, let's just go in and watch Pulse before we do our thing.
Yeah.
I just
Because
remember
we were just hanging
so
out in
hyped.
the auxiliary gym.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We just like snuck into the crowd and we're like for one, we were hyped that like they were so clean. And for two, we're like, they're playing the Lion King.
I want to go find that YouTube video, the original one, Banished Beyond. That has to have like multiple millions of views at this point. Like that video has to have just gone nuts.
JP.
All right.
Well, the one of him and Mike McIntosh doing the like battle has like over 1 million views, which is like so silly. It's such
Oh,
a
I think that's way
funny
more than
little
a million.
video.
That's one of Aaron Guerra's videos, right? I think he's
Evan,
the one
yeah,
that filmed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Obviously, you all have stories about the show. If you want to pause at any moment
Yeah.
and go into a tangent.
Take the floor in exhibition.
You'll probably notice right away that all that beginning stuff got changed.
Yeah. I just can't believe you all moved your feet this fast.
Yeah, especially some sets.
Yeah.
These are all the staggered step offs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's some weird foot timing.
Some of that was hard to line up front to back too.
Yeah.
So you'll notice there, Aaron and Chris spinning around. Pause real quick. To go back. Hold on.
I just
Go
saw
back.
that.
So like it's this whole pinwheel, and first of all, they decided to add all these head motions that like were going the opposite direction. For I swear it felt like if I was going left, I had to look right. If I was all right, I can't see anything, and I was just running on the end. But then I'd just look around, and like Aaron and Chris are just like spinning in circles. So, like, what the hell's going on?
I mean, I think a large percentage, and this still probably happens and happened before this year, but a large percentage of what made it into the show was just us as members trying stuff. And then, Tim Fairbanks, Tim Jackson, everyone in front of us, Andrew Markowitz, just being like, yeah, do that. That looks good. Or like,
Yeah.
Tweak it this way. But if it fits the moment, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the show just being like cool stuff makes sense. You could just try cool stuff and be like, yep, put it in. Done.
And again, context-wise, they had one gold medal 2008, 2009. In the snare line, out of the 9 of us, Evan, you were the only one who was not 22 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of us were 23. Ted and Dan and I were 23, which is just insane.
Bunch of old men.
I had my college degree, and I was marching into a drum line still.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
like-
up there with Evan marching married in 2012.
Yeah, I think I couldn't. I was only 20. I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
all right,
right,
watch
let's
the
watch this.
pinwheels.
Yeah, right here.
Cycle.
Just a slow spin,
I
too.
don't even know why we did it. We're stepping on each other's feet right there, too. I kind of forgot we did that.
Here's the fast singles, but we actually terraced the dynamic. Dude, I just remember running.
Yeah. And just throwing paradiddles at the drum head as fast as you can.
There it is.
Yeah.
Every show.
Every show. Yeah, there was a lot
Sometimes
more
too.
shaping, and definitely not at 238 by the time it got somewhat together.
No, I think they were just like, we're just gonna let it ride.
Just play clean by finals
As
week.
long as it's fast, that's all we care about.
The pacing of this show was funny too, because the first 65 seconds is just like the entire notes of the entire show in the snare line, at least. And then
Was that
we
funny,
don't.
yeah, go on.
Obviously, we don't play for another minute and a half here.
Well, they got to let your hands rest after what you just played.
Yeah.
There's that funny video of Josh breaking law. He's like, where'd all the notes go?
Yeah.
A lot of this show was just about building hype. It's like, all right, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, Muse being a Muse, inspiring others, it was just a very blanket concept to just try to do cool stuff that got the crowd engaged. This moment was still super cool, though.
Yeah.
Just very organically developed, too, when it was staged. Dan Twyford just being
time
an
Dan just started doing that. he-
all-star.
Yeah. The United States of Eurasia piece. This is one of my favorite moments. These singles and stuff.
I'm going to pause and rewind and point something out. I haven't watched this show in quite a while until right now. Thinking about the evolution of the activity from even 2010 to now, look how bare this show is by today's standards.
Oh, for sure.
It's literally
Yeah,
just
there's,
drill and uniforms
Yeah.
moving around the floor.
Yeah.
Which credit to the designers and the members for performing it so well, because you were able to still build the level of engagement and energy from the floor without any of the frills. It was literally just drill and music.
Well, I think Touch the year prior still holds up, and there's no props.
Agree. Same idea.
Yeah.
But it just struck me. I was like, wow, there's just literally a tarp. And you just don't see that hardly ever anymore.
I remember a lot of this moment that we're rewatching, too, was, not only staged, but it was also, I think the music was taught by rote.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they eventually wrote it down, but it was after they taught it to us.
Yes. Yeah. I actually only remember having music to the opener.
Yeah. It's stick toss where they jumped over the quads. I remember we just tried to like outperform each other, which probably led to some overperforming going on. And there were some quality issues, but I mean, we were trying to compete with each other to see who could get called out for looking the most excessive up front.
Surprised at the
this
audio
chart
quality of this. It sounds good for being in a gym like this.
I have a funny tidbit after we get through the end of this chart.
This is also funny because this was like Thursday of finals week, and there's a head move that we took out in the next 2 days. Like that right there. We took that out. And the only reason I remember that is because I did it on finals and no one else did.
There's also like a triplet at the end of this that we changed from 16th notes to triplet. Somebody forgot that change too. It was all 16th notes. Now it changed to triplets. I remember working. This is a very vivid memory, but I remember working on this chart. Like we were repping it, and we were at the Nashville regional, and I remember we were housing or wherever it was that year, Nashville or Chattanooga or whatever.
Yeah.
But we were housing
Outside,
at the same high school as MCM, and I remember like we went in to the gym that they were at, and we were watching them, and then they like kicked us out, and then we went back and we were rehearsing. And we were rehearsing this part, and we were just kind of like, I don't know, dicking around and stuff, and just like, whatever. And like Chris was saying, like just being over the top. And like some of the MCM members were in there watching us, and then all of a sudden, like somebody knocks on the door. It's like, I got a pizza here for Ashley Safara, or something. Like in the middle of rehearsal, just like ordered a pizza, and like it was just the dichotomy between the two groups was very stark at that point in their histories.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like Rhythm X as an organization, this was definitely one of the few years where it was like loosely held together by glue, you know, like, I mean, I remember every Friday I went and picked up a rental U-Haul truck for the organization as a member. You know, I was like given like the Rhythm X credit card, and I had to go to like a Penske facility to like drive a rental truck. You know, I mean, it's just, I'm glad they have been able to make the organization a bit more solid these days.
There are several boundaries in place now that are very, very much needed in making it more efficient.
And what's wild about these years, even just 15 years ago, being like the Wild West of WGI, like I guarantee you weren't the only member that did that for a WGI group that year. Like there probably were other members in other groups that had to do stuff like that just to make things happen across the activity. So
I want getting rehearsal spaces, getting equipment trucks. I mean, that was just not easy to get a WGI group down the road.
No. I want to ask real quick before we jump back into the show. Evan, you've mentioned already, and Chris, you've talked about it too, like that opener music had changed, was watered down by the end of the season from where it started. In terms of the show itself, was the skeleton, once it was all on the floor, kind of the same the rest of the year and everything was just like tweaked and minor changes, or was there any kind of like massive overhaul changes that had to happen in the middle of the season, or was it kind of like there mostly from the beginning?
I think it was there, but we just added the ending like a week or two before finals. Is that what you remember, Evan?
That's pretty much what I remember. I don't remember any large-scale overhauls. Nothing.
I mean, we
like
did
what
tons of like small changes, but yeah, we weren't like relearning, 30 pages of drill like you guys did.
Right.
No, yeah, agreed.
Okay. And I asked that because that happens every year at X in this era, especially like levels of changes had to happen throughout the season, just trying to make things work. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
This moment again was just like Tim Wood and I mean he and I were like messing around trying to do handstands on our drums like during a water break or when we were not actively being staged. And Tim Fairbanks was like, "Hey Tim, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I don't know." And Tim Fairbanks was like, "Save that for the ballad." And he got put in the show.
I think the most impressive part about it is that he holds it for so long.
So long. The rest of us like have drill and do all our other poses, and he's still there.
I remember Dave Oriente and I found ours on a Cirque du Soleil video. So we're just doing like a true counterbalance there, where I have my feet on his knees and my other foot is wrapped around the backside of his neck. I actually
and
fell.
Tim was the first one up and the last one down too. Yeah.
I actually fell doing that during finals week, and I thought I broke my wrist.
Oh wow.
Among having paintball
welts all over
welts all over my body.
That's a story for offline.
I remember this part was one where I was like, I'm surprised this made it to the end.
Yeah, I guess because it was just like a foreshadow.
And it was just like a
it's
setup.
standalone. Yeah, standalone. It wasn't like the most effective, but this next thing obviously became well known. So fast.
Dude. Yeah.
They're probably.
You say pause it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just remember because I mean, what tempo was that written at, Evan? Was it like 160?
I thought it was like 148 or 150 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't really
Maybe
remember.
got bumped. But I mean, I remember there was like videos. I mean, probably this one too, where the tap off from the drum set up front, Ben was he was giving us like 172, 180. And we're like, all right, we gotta fit all these notes in there. Just keep going, all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, and this was actually the first year that they changed the Dynasty carrier. So if they hadn't done that, like that moment would never even have existed because they used to still
with the
be the
run
J
across,
bars.
yeah.
They were still the J bars in 09, but then they went to the monopost.
Yeah, and didn't we had other moments where we were standing on each other before, like in the opener that got taken out.
Yeah.
So like this was the first time that we stood on each other, but then it comes back later in the closer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And a lot of those stuff too. Like I remember those heritas. Like they're supposed to be like multiple heights, like like low, high, and like they just kind of like gradually like went from this to like the contrast was like smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So it's fast.
We're gonna watch it again.
And surprisingly, the isolated 5 strokes or the 4 strokes were like
Yeah.
usually pretty
They were
good.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just like didn't even work on them that much. It's okay.
It's funny how, isn't it funny, real quick, how most shows that I was in, at least, there's always that like section or two that just always worked, and you never really had to work. Like it was just there. You never. I don't know. I feel like the shows I was in, indoor and outdoor, there was always like one chunk that was just, all right, cool.
Well, this was another feature I think that didn't Tim Jackson teach us this by rote? He just kind of like made it up on the spot.
Learned this. We actually learned this really early on, and in the closer too, there's one lick that we learned. It was actually the first lick of the show we learned.
Oh yeah.
Towards the end,
It was in the audition packet.
It was in the packet. That was the first thing we learned, and it was in the closer. So I'll point it out when we get there.
That left-hand 4 was a little out, but still a hype.
Yeah. And then it was just like, all right, how much stuff can we fit?
Yeah, we got like a minute left.
Yeah.
Cram it in.
Bass drum starts playing. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
How long Jared Quartz's hair is.
Have you seen him?
Yeah, then this whole, singing and the electronic voice, I mean, it was like different every show.
This was pretty fun finals night, though, I will say.
Yeah, super funny. In this video, you can't really hear like the electronics, and I think the next 2 nights they like blasted the electronics so loud. You can hear us singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
Again,
super fun to perform.
Nothing like crazy, but it was just hyping up.
Like Dave oriented, just like last one.
This lick coming up right here is the first thing we learned. Right here. Everyone's playing so high.
Yeah, no heights. Man, this was all new.
This was
Or
the
at least
original ending
changed.
right there.
A week or 2. Probably why this long triple roll was probably not quite together.
Dude, it's just all hype.
Yeah.
That reattack. I remember
It's like
they were
everyone
like
standing on everything.
yeah. the front ensemble standing up, Jules, the rocket scientist down there. Like everybody was like ending on it ended on like the when he ended
yeah.
the left hand, and so the reattacks were just trash.
It was always bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the ending that we did for the last 2 weeks of the year, and I remember the ending we had before that was also cool. It was only like one, snare pyramid, and everyone else was like on the floor, and like Lee cartwheeled over you
Yeah,
guys.
he cartwheeled across them.
Yeah, it was still sick. It was just like they wanted it to maybe be like bigger, and when the whole like standing on each other thing. I think at first when the original ending, Tim Wood was on. No, he held the drum. It was Dave Oriente up top, but like you didn't have to get up with your drum on for the first versions. But for this version, we had to like figure out those three guys, Zach, Dave, and Tim, just had to like muscle themselves up on top of us to get up there.
Yeah, like all right, we're gonna do like a little tricep push up. Here we go.
Well, I mean, but that's the other funny thing is Tim Wood, for like the longest time, 15 years that I've known him, has been trying to set the world record for the most number of dips in 1 minute.
Yeah,
And it's like 119, and he can do like 112. It's like insane. So it's like, all right, well, good luck everyone else trying to do what Tim Wood can do with that.
Yeah. Perfect.
dude.
Yeah. But yeah, this was definitely an iconic show.
I think there's a lot of debate. Well, at the time there was a lot of debate, like, oh, Rhythm X should have won. Rhythm X should have won. Like, I mean, you
can look at the sheets,
Yeah.
We did pretty well for most of the effect stuff and visual stuff, and we just like were not playing as well as Pulse was, without a doubt. Pulse was really
the
good.
clarity was not there.
Well, I mean, I don't remember Pulse's book that year as being anything that's like mind-blowingly difficult. Now, I could be wrong. I need to go back and watch. Nobody kill me on the internet for making that comment. They were phenomenal. They were the cleanest group that year. They played their butts off. But I would argue your all's book was probably more demanding in terms of like just the sheer speed and velocity of what you all were trying to do in the forms and with the drill, and didn't exactly set you all up. It was a high bar you all had to
at
meet
least
to
in
achieve that.
Snareland. In Snareland, I think that's true.
Yeah,
I think maybe Pulse had more front ensemble material, but
that could be
true.
true.
I mean, I think also like the legacy of this show in the short term for WGI was like for a few years. I remember people just went crazy with like acrobatics and singing, and like clarity was not always the priority, which is like maybe. And then I think the legacy of the Pulse show was that like they proved that an indoor line could get as clean as like a summer, DCI line.
Right.
Because I mean that, leading up to this year, like it was kind of, I don't know, maybe unspoken, but it was like, all right, well, you're not going to be as clean in April as a top DCI line is in August. But then Pulse showed up to Ohio, and we're like, well, they sound pretty clean and blended to me.
Close. That's pretty close.
Yeah, that's pretty valid, because even like those years that Rhythm X in 08, their drum line was very, very good.
They were solid.
But even in 09, like they won and set the record. Like there's stuff in there. There's people breaking. Like there's
guys that were
09. The show design carried them a lot. Yeah,
guys that were in that line will not try and tell you they played super clean.
No,
they just
now basically to metal you have to play clean.
Yeah, I mean the bar has been raised a lot.
The old Rhythm X 2010.
Yep, there it is. We finally made our way back to it. I still couldn't believe we'd never watched it. But, we've watched 2012 Rhythm X, right?
2012?
I think we've watched 2012 on the channel.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think we've done 11, though. We'll have to do 11 at some point, too. Have some people that were in that group with us.
You guys were really clean in 2012. Especially, you have 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, wild.
10.
Yep. That's a discussion for another day. But you guys got anything else?
Well, I'm proud of us that we talked about Rhythm X 2010 for so long and kept it PG, and we didn't talk about anyone going to jail or any other things that happened.
Or anyone missing rehearsals for any reason.
For any reason whatsoever, that, Bible study reasons.
Yep. A lot of stories from that year that will stay off the internet. All right. And I probably don't even know all of them. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Comment, like, subscribe, share the video. Facebook, Instagram, patreon.com, join button here on YouTube, agedoutpodcast.com to grab a shirt or sticker. Drum to the Aged Out fundamentals. Your hands and your audition process will go better. Fundamentals are key to making any good drumline. I will die on that hill. All right. We'll see everybody in the next one.
Peace.